Hello and welcome to another screencast from the offices of General Ledger. Today I'm going to be going over the new GST QST template version 3.0. There are just a couple of changes from previous templates, so I'm only going to be covering the changes in this screencast and the new features of this new template. The biggest difference between this year's template and previous ones is that even quarterly filers will only be using one workbook for the whole year instead of making a new file each quarter. The way that we're going to handle this is on this new sheet labeled Summary. If we open up this sheet, what we see are a series of mock-up remittance forms. And for every quarter that we file, we're going to fill out one of these mock remittances with exactly what we filed to the Quebec government. The top green remittance form always displays what is owing or owed to you, net of what you have paid for the year. I'm going to quickly fill out some income and expenses to demonstrate how this works. So now, as you can see, I filled out my income from the first quarter, as well as the expenses that I've incurred in the first quarter. And so now I'm going to go over to the summary page. And now the green box is telling me exactly what I owe to the government right now. And so what I'm going to do is, as I'm filling out my actual remittance form to send into Revenue Quebec, I'm going to fill in this Q1 form with the numbers that I see on the green slip above. And as I do that, you see the green slip gets zeroed out. So now the green slip is showing that I have remitted everything that I owed. I've accounted for everything that I've put on the sheet, and I can now go forward and continue to fill out the sheet for my next quarter of income and expenses. So here we are now. I've filled out my income and my expenses for the second quarter. Notice that this receipt on March 29th, I had forgotten it last time I filled out my remittance, but I found it when I was doing my next quarter. I can just add it here, no problem, and the sheet will pick it up, and it'll just be added to my next remittance. So I'm going to go back to the summary page, and again I'm going to copy the same numbers down into the Q2 remittance form. And I'll be sending these numbers into Revenue Quebec with my remittance. And again here we've zeroed out the green box, and this is a record of what I reported for Q2. This process will repeat again for quarters 3 and 4, and at the end of the year, all of my income and expenses for the year are all going to be included in this one workbook with a summary of the remittances that I made to Revenue Quebec. So there are a couple other small changes to this year's sheet. Let's review those quickly. First of all, you're going to notice here that there is a new province tax code for GST only. This is for the scenario that you receive a product or service from an out-of-town or an out-of-province supplier that doesn't have a QST number. So if, for example, that supplier is from Ontario, but you receive the service in Quebec, they'll charge you GST instead of HST. That's what they should charge you. The rule of thumb being that you charge the tax of the place where the product or service is being delivered. If you don't have a tax number for the provincial tax, you only charge GST. If the taxes are harmonized, you charge HST. There is a little note with some examples on the income page right here, Guide to Charging Taxes. The next small update is to the car page. Recall that the tax guide from the tax guide, the proper way to account for car expenses is to count the total number of kilometers driven for work purposes as a percentage of the total kilometers driven in that period. The same ratio gives you the portion of the expenses for you to claim on your personal taxes, as well as the portion of GST QST that you can claim on your remittance. If you're remitting quarterly, you may have a different work use percentage in different quarters. Maybe you had a lot of traveling to do in one quarter. And so what we've done here is broken down the work use percentage by quarter. So as a result, it is now required that you put a date into the date column so that we can so it will calculate the appropriate percentage of the GST QST that you're going to claim. If you are lazy and don't want to write, for example, January 1st, 2016, you can also just write 1 or Q1, and that will do for pulling the appropriate percentage. So you're going to put here, the total kilometers that you've driven for work, and in that quarter you drove, say, 1,300 kilometers, so you're at 50% work use for quarter one. Final change in version 3.0 has actually nothing to do with your GST QST, and is simply there to help you keep track of your own receipts. We have this sheet labeled medical expenses. Medical expenses are not taxable, have no impact on your GST, but for example, a lot of people compile all of their expenses from the quarter at once, and this is an easy way to just keep track of what all of your medical expenses were, and then when you give this to us to file your taxes, your personal taxes, we have all the expenses there. So that's it for now for version 3.0. If you have any questions or feedback, you know where to reach us, and good luck. See you next time.